come in, sir?
Yes, please come.
Good morning, sir. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning, Abhigyan. Please.
Thank you, sir.
So, Abhigyan, please give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yes, sir. So, my name is Abhigyan Malviya. I was born in Devghar, Jharkhand. I completed my high school from Patna, Bihar. After that, I went for graduation in chemical engineering from IIT Guwahati. In 2018, I decided to go for research and I spent 2 years in TU Berlin in Germany. After that, I returned in 2020 and started my preparation for civil services.
So, Abhigyan, you have Devgarh is your birthplace.
Yes, sir.
So, what is Devgarh famous for?
Yes, sir. So Devghar is famous for two things. First is the famous Baba Baidyanath temple, which is devoted to Lord Shiva. And the second is the local sweet, which is pera, which is quite famous. And the government
So,
is
let's talk about this. There is some yatra also, Devgarh
yes,
yatra.
sir. So it is the Kanwar Yatra.
Kanwar yatra.
Yes, sir.
So, tell me, suppose if you were the district magistrate of that district from where the yatra takes place. So, there are many issues with regard to yatras, lots of accidents in between, crowd, this, that. Now, what is your responsibility is in district administration uh, to, in regard to the smooth passage of yatra?
Yes, sir. Sir, as a district administrator, my first focus area will be to see for safety and security of the different Kanwar Yatris who arrive every year. I think second focus will be on ensuring that when we manage the infrastructure for these yatras, it is often seen that most of the stampede occurs because of lack of management or providing of pathways which could reduce the burden of so many people arriving. Last year, we had a footfall of close to 15 lakh people on a single day. So to manage that, it is imperative that we have different pathways and similar measures. So these are the two things I focus on.
Jharkhand state, as a state, Abhigyan, is seeing a lot of cases of corruption in higher civil services. So, what exactly is it? The rule of law is not, prevalent, or maybe there is a procedural problems, or is it a nexus, some kind of nexus? There have been many cases
Yes.
among IAS officers also. Yesterday also I saw some news.
Yes.
So why is there anything special about Jharkhand administration?
So corruption anywhere is not due to a single factor, but because of the coming together of different factors. As you rightly pointed out, there is also lacks in implementation of laws, and at the other hand, there is also nexus going on between the different bureaucrats, politicians, and the local mafias. So these two reasons are something that make it more uh, lucrative for different bureaucrats to go for corruption.
You're a chemical engineer.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me, the supply chain of petrochemicals. Let's take for instance oil. Now it is very expensive,
Yes.
transportation, and number two, it takes a lot of time also.
Yes.
Now how can we bring cost effectiveness and bring speed to the supply chain of crude oil from anywhere, or maybe refined oil, to the consumption location?
Yes, sir. Sir, there are two main issues with respect to time. First is we are importing lots of oil from different countries. So if we want to speed up the process, we can focus on importing from neighboring countries. For example, recently we have started importing from Russia a lot of oil, close to $30 billion. So that also incurs more cost in terms of maritime trade, and so we should instead focus on neighboring countries. And second, when we talk about in India, I think focus should be on opening up refineries more in the hinterlands so that we can refine the oil over there and we can use it for consumption directly.
What about pipelines?
So for crude, we cannot use pipelines. We need pipelines for gases. So if we are talking about export or for transportation of gases, then pipelines will be an effective measure.
Uh, you have studied in Assam.
Yes, sir.
Assam's handling of child marriage.
Yes, sir.
What do you have to say about it?
So personally, I think it is a good step by the government because women empowerment is a strategic issue which needs to be focused on. And I think that it is a step that was taken with broader goals. It is a long-term measure and a strategic one in the sense that it tries to nip the problem and when it's in a small stage. So I think that the government proposal was quite honest, but the implementation had some bottlenecks.
Last point, Abhigyan. You have mentioned technology-based learning modules for high school students you developed during NSS.
Yes, sir.
So, what exactly did you actually do?
Yes, sir. So during my work in NSS, we were asked to help the adopted village, which was Sindhu Dogri village, and in that we had a school. So our main focus was to make mathematics learning more of an enjoyable and creative process. So for that,
How did you bring technology into it?
yes, sir. So for that, we developed different apps, games, and comic strips. We realized that for different chapters, we need different interventions, and we cannot have a common fit for this.
Thank you, Abhigyan.
Thank you, sir.
So, Abhigyan,
Yes, sir.
any particular meaning of your name?
Yes, sir. So, Abhigyan, literally it means Abhi plus Gyan. So, someone with great intelligence. But it is also a famous play by the greatest playwright of the world, Kalidasa, named Abhigyan.
Dear Abhigyan, what does it mean?
So, in that, it is the story of recognition of the ring. So, in that sense, it is recognition, the literal.
That's a bit different meaning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. For last 2-3 days, there were full page advertisements relating to Guwahati.
Yes, sir.
And even Prime Minister was there yesterday.
Yes, sir.
What was the occasion?
Yes, sir. So, our Honorable Prime Minister was there for inaugurating first the AHI or Assam Advanced Health Innovation Institute.
Okay. Where it is located?
So, it is in IIT Guwahati itself.
IIT location. So, they are locating a health project in IIT Guwahati, that means.
Yes, sir.
How does it gel with the thing?
Yes, sir. So, because in IIT Guwahati, we have biotech and bioscience department as well, which is doing a lot of research, and it was actually earlier participating with local different hospitals like the Narayana Institute was there. And because of it, we were also having issues if we wanted to do any cross-disciplinary research. So I think it was a very visionary step to have a healthcare institute in IIT.
Very good. And how far is that AIMS which was inaugurated from there?
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Any other reason why Prime Minister was there? They had,
Yes, there was also the Shaul Kuchi place, which is the Manchester of Assam, because it produces lots of silk. It produces all the three and exports the three types of silk.
What did Prime Minister do?
So he inaugurated a bridge which connects Shaul Kuchi to main Guwahati across the Brahmaputra, so that it increases their trade and makes it easy for them to access markets.
So that's a great news if a new bridge has been made across river Brahmaputra.
It has not been made, it has been inaugurated. It has been laid, like foundation stone.
Oh, foundation stone has been laid.
Yes.
I see. There was a Bihu celebration.
Yes.
And Bihu dance celebration.
Yes.
What is special about that?
So the recent one was special because it created a world Guinness Book record, because close to 11,000 Bihu dancers danced together, and it was the largest number of dancers.
Okay. Suppose some guests, suppose you are in Guwahati and some guest comes to you and you wish to show around. So 2-3 things which you like to show around. Tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, first of all, I will try to show the Saraighat Bridge because it is quite famous and quite beautiful also, the view of Brahmaputra from there. Second would be the Lachit Borphukan statue which was erected when I was in college. So that is quite famous. And thirdly,
So that Barfukan statue,
yes, sir.
it was in the college.
No, sir, it is near the Saraighat Bridge. The
Oh, it is
Brahmaputra
near the bridge.
Yes, sir.
And why should we remember Barfukan? That Lachit Barfukan.
Yes, sir.
Why
So
should
he
we
was
remember?
a clever military man, and because in the Saraighat battle, even he was able to defeat the Mughal Empire, even though he had a very small army, and the Mughal Empire was almost 10 times bigger than the Ahom Empire. But yet he was able to use strategy like yes,
Suppose one IAS aspirant comes to you and hearing that you had offered mathematics as optional, comes to you and says that, sir, I also wish to offer mathematics.
yes.
What will be your advice to the new candidate about offering mathematics as optional subject?
Sir, my advice will be to focus on his strengths. If her or his strength is lies something in mathematics, then only they should go for it. They should have an innate curiosity about the subject, because unlike any subject, if you are not curious, if you are not asking questions, then it will be very difficult to get even average marks in maths.
Mhm. Anything else is required? Some basic degree?
So having a degree certainly helps, but I myself have not done a mathematics degree, and I'm from chemical engineering. So
Mhm.
I think that anyone in any degree will be able to
Okay.
focus. If
Thank
they
you.
have a-
Thank you, Abhigyan.
Thank you.
Abhigyan.
Abhigyan, Super 30,
Yes.
what it is and what for it is in news?
Yes, sir. So Super 30 was started by the mathematician Anand Kumar sir. It was famous because it takes aspirants from marginalized sections and helps them clear IIT. So it had a very good track record of out of those 30, 29 to almost 28, 29 people would actually clear IIT every year. So because he was a great mathematician and still he came back to support the rural people and marginalized people, that was something that that inspires us all.
So this Super 30 model can also be adopted by other states. Why it is not being done?
So there could be different reasons. I think these kind of individual initiative, they come from people who are actually visionary and who see themselves as someone who wants to create an impact. So first of all, we need people who are able to carry on such visionary thought. And secondly, another problem is that many of the people who are good in maths, they go for abroad or research in different areas. But because he was from one of the rural areas, and because he was able to connect with those people, the systemic barriers they face, the kind of problems they face, so he came back and he decided to.
And he got Padam Shri also,
Yes, sir.
right? So
Yes.
that is why it is.
Yes, sir.
So, Abhigyan, you have done research paper on radioactive water, wastewater treatment and molecular simulation of
Yes.
ethanol.
Yes, sir.
So, first tell me about radioactive wastewater treatment.
Yes, sir.
What is your research about in this field?
Yes, sir. So it was a BARC funded project. Its focus was from different nuclear power plants. We get a lot of research wastewater, nuclear wastewater. So that wastewater need what our current process is that we just deposit it, and the BARC project wanted to extract different metal ions from it. So my project was to carry forward a simulation as to whether we can extract important metals like cesium from wastewater.
So, we can use your research for enlarging production of nuclear power, because one of the major issue is nuclear waste.
Yes, sir. Because in nuclear power plants, one of the major bottleneck is where to store the wastage. But from our research, we saw that we can actually extract cesium, and that reduces the radioactivity as well.
Good. Now, two quick questions on ethanol.
Yes, sir.
Why can't we have ethanol 30 or ethanol 100% like Brazil is having?
Yes, sir.
And what will be its impact on petrol engine?
Yes, sir. So, the reason we cannot have ethanol 30 or ethanol 100 is because we'll have to change all the cars and automobiles that are already in place. Because the engines that we have as of now, they can handle up to E10 or 10% ethanol blending, and in some cases with small retrofittings, 20% also. But for higher, we need to change the entire engine. In Brazil, they have created the flex fuel vehicles, which are able to use any percentage of ethanol and even almost 100%. So, sir, that is the reason that you can.
So, in the long run, ethanol 100% with change of engine, is it not better than electric vehicles? Will it not be better than EVs, because EV leave greater carbon footprints on environment than probably ethanol?
Yes, sir. Sir, personally, I feel that instead of focusing on one fuel, we should have a diversified use of fuels, because too much focus on ethanol has its own challenges. First, where we are going to produce so much ethanol from. Currently, we are focusing on sugarcane and molasses, but they are also water intensive. So, if we focus on using so much ethanol production, then that will lead to water shortage and different kind of scenarios. And secondly, by having different areas, like if we have electric vehicle focused on hydrogen or different renewable energy sources, then that also helps us to diversify it, which is always a better option than to focus on this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Abhigyan,
Yes, sir.
encounter, glorification of encounter is not good. Encounter is just short-circuiting the normal process of criminal justice system. What do you have to say on this?
Yes, sir. Sir, I do agree with you that encounters are short-circuiting the system, because firstly, it is against the premise of natural justice. There is no trial going on, and the decisions are being taken on the spot. And secondly, I think that the police, they are not the vehicles to bring justice. Their main job is to capture the criminal and to provide evidence to the court.
But the difficulty is, in certain circumstances, encounter is justified, but the difficulty is, in many occasions, it is stage managed or engineered. How to identify whether the encounter was justified in a particular circumstances or it's an engineered?
So for that, I think the focus cannot be on debates. Rather than that, we should come up with innovative solution. For example, in USA, they have body strap-on cameras which capture the evidences wherever the police is going. So if we could have that kind of system, then obviously it could be seen whether the encounter was staged or whether it was someone where the police was doing it for self-protection.
Abhigyan, there is a distinction between data and information. Similarly, there is a distinction between information and knowledge. Similarly, there is a distinction between knowledge and wisdom. Can you draw a distinction between the three, all the four? Data, information, knowledge and wisdom, or everything is same?
So data is something that is brought from different users, and on itself it does not have any merit because it needs to be processed and handled. Information, on the other hand, is the processing of that data and the kind of patterns which we can get from it. So that also requires some extra efforts. So knowledge would be knowledge about different things, and it is more of a cognitive ability rather than anything which is tangible. And so finally, wisdom is using knowledge for good purposes and for something that leads to betterment of society.
Abhigyan, do you agree that knowledge can be acquired whereas intelligence cannot be acquired? It is innate in a person. Or do you hold a different view?
So So personally, I think that intelligence can also be acquired. I do not believe that anything is innate because it depends on the problem. Sometimes if the problem is seen and we just need to tweak something, then intelligence can be developed to be able to see that. For example, in the the world faced the COVID pandemic, which was a new problem, unsolved problem. But we were able to solve it because of our intelligence. It was not that some of us were not able to solve because we were not intelligent. Intelligence is more of a use of the tools, and I think it is something we can learn.
Why AI is being called as disruptive technology?
So disruptive technology by definition are those technology which lead to disruption of every other existing technology. For example, when mobile phones were brought in, alarm clocks and table calendars, they all become defunct. No one was buying them anymore. So this kind of technology is disruptive. With the coming of AI, many of the technologies which existed earlier and even jobs which were being carried out by humans, they are being replaced. So because of that, it is causing a destruction of different jobs.
What is the advantage of this lean scheme for MSME? Lean. The government MSME ministry has brought some scheme called lean, LEAN, lean.
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to. Thank you, sir.
Abhigyan, you're from Jharkhand.
Yes, sir.
And Jharkhand, I think it's a coal producing state. Lot of coal is there, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, in that context, Abhigyan, there is a lot, I mean, we hear a lot about, we read a lot about coal pilferage in Jharkhand. People say 10, 20, 50% of the coal is getting pilferaged.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that?
Yes, sir.
And the most important parameter of this pilferage or the aspect of this pilferage is that fake e-way bills, way bills, they mean way bills, you know, so electronic way bills. Now, you become coal secretary in Jharkhand, and it is the onerous responsibility upon you to check this coal pilferage. What few steps you are going to take to check this coal pilferage? It's a big problem in Jharkhand.
Yes, sir. So my first step will be to identify which are the main hotspots where these pilfery rages are happening. For that, I will try to network with local intelligence and local information and try to identify what are the hotspots. So secondly, it is often seen that in these areas there is also a nexus. There was a news that one of the police station was actually getting bribe from the people and they were allowing it to carry on the trucks. So my second step will be to increase accountability and transparency in those stations and, for example, install CCTV cameras, etc. So thirdly, I will focus on increasing people awareness. I'll try to have talk with the local tribals or, for example, the Birho tribe, that such kind of coal pilferage, it is often seen that even some of the locals are actually stealing the coal. So I'll try to increase awareness that if they are sold formally, then it will bring development in their areas. And so that these are the steps I take.
This coal mining Vigyan in Jharkhand has disturbed to a great extent the elephant movement in Jharkhand.
Yes.
Are you aware of that? Elephants are getting hugely disturbed in their migratory routes. Their migratory routes are disturbed, their corridors are disturbed
Yes, sir.
due to these mining issues. No?
Yes.
What steps you likely to take? I mean, you suppose or you propose few steps to check this issue. I mean, so that the elephant doesn't get harmed, the wild elephants.
Yes, sir. So the problem with elephant is that they cannot be guided to follow a specific route. So my first step will be to get help from the forest officials and ensure that whenever these mining take place, we always come up with an alternate route so that the elephants are in a way pushed and nudged from the start rather than waiting for them to arrive to the coal driven areas. And so secondly, I think we can also focus on getting help from the local people so that they help and try to bring awareness among the people that when they see an elephant, they should not try to make it panic or make it more angry. Rather than they should push it. So apart from these two, that is all.
But there are, we can designated elephant corridors.
Yes,
Elephant is a very intelligent animal. It has got its corridor which they follow since ages, you know. So if the buyings are there in these corridors, don't you think they should be stopped or something like that? Because the corridors, the elephant, they don't change their corridor. They don't change their routes.
So a complete ban on coal mining is not a sustainable approach because Jharkhand itself gets close to 10,000 crores from mining of these areas. So complete ban will lead to economic issues. And secondly, I think that there is always, it is never a elephant versus economic development or that kind of an issue. It's more of elephant as well as development. So in that case, I'll try to figure out some solution that there is sustainable development so that the elephant corridors are maintained, but at the same time coal development also.
Abhigyan, you have a lot of areas which are mined areas, which have been mined, and the land is to be reclaimed there. And they are the sort of fallow land, wasteland, nothing grows there. You know, huge areas, huge tract of lands are like this in Jharkhand. So how you can reclaim those areas?
So for reclaiming, I think we should opt out for some different approaches rather than focusing on reclaiming. Maybe those areas can be given to set up of different industries, or we can set up some infrastructure facilities. So that is all I can think of right now.
Okay. My last question is about Baidyanath Dham.
Yes, sir.
Do you know something about Jyotirling?
Yes, sir.
What is Jyotirling?
So under the Shiv Puran mythology, Jyotirling are those areas where when the Shiva took the form of light.
Okay, I got it. So this Baidyanath Dham is a Jyotirling Dham
Yes, sir. It is Jyotirling as well as Shakti.
as well as
Shakti.
Shaktipeeth. And there are some two buns also, Hartiki one and Ketiki one.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
They are mentioned in some scriptures, Vedic scriptures.
So they are mentioned, but I am not able
You are
to.
not.
recall.
Okay. Thank you, Abhigyan.
Thank you, sir.
So, Abhigyan, anything which from your DAF we may not have covered and you would like me to ask on that subject?
No, sir.
Hmm?
That's all.
All are covered?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, thank you, Abhigyan. We close our interview. You may proceed to the adjoining room and we'll call you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Abhigyan, please come.
Thank you, sir.
Abhigyan, how have you done today?
So better than.
Better than the previous mocks
Yes.
or better than the previous UPSC?
No, sir. This is my first.
First time. So, Abhigyan, you're doing very well. You're very bright. I would say that the interview stage for you is a blessing. You will pull up a lot of marks from your interview because you're good. You haven't been tested the first time you're going. So, you are very bright, you're very, very stable, very poised, very balanced. Your answers were, वो कहते हैं ना बिल्कुल measured words, नपे तुले शब्दों को you used in the least possible, use of words, but expressing the right manner. And the good thing about you is that you think and then speak. So your answers are very structured and all spheres, your knowledge, your content. So you're doing very well. Just you could be, while you were engrossed in your talking and conversing, you could look a bit more comfortable by being less serious. I would not say you were serious because of you were getting some kind of panic or some It's just that, you were very engrossed in your. So make it slightly thoda sa comfortable level pe le aao, because you have such a good knowledge that you can always maneuver. You understand my point? People have problem when they are retrieving the question answer and then क्या करूँ मैं, आंसर निकालूँ या साथ में स्माइल भी करूँ. So, but in your case, we see that you have plethora of knowledge. So for you, it is easier to be more comfortable. That is it. Otherwise, you are perfect. So let's hear other members.
So Abhigyan, I rate you very high. Very good. So you have to maintain the same thing. This is one important point. The second is that when we are talking about any proposition, like mathematics is optional. So as a balanced view, you have some pros and some cons. Of course, introductory is that you must love the subject. But then more than that, you have to have some pros and cons. This is a general way in which you attempt the questions of such nature. Okay? So that, yes, carry on. So pros and cons for every such issue where there are options available. So that will go that you are a thinking person and you are a well informed person, and you do not wish to impose anything on another, but would like to present a total scenario. That is the way we go about in bureaucracy. Okay? Thank you.
Abhigyan, very good talking to you. Very balanced, very good knowledge, good analysis, especially when it comes to discussion on two topics, radioactive waste. In fact, I asked you what can be done. So, informally, I would like you to submit this paper to DRDO as well, because this is one area where I think Government of India definitely would love to see some possible solutions. So you do that, and ethanol, your reply was excellent. So keep it up. I have nothing further to add. Don't forget to add Padam Shri, because Super 30 and Anand Kumar, one question I couldn't ask you, mathematician that Bihar has produced.
Yes. So
All right. So Bihar is known for mathematics. So read, you should know. I'm sure you already know. I didn't ask you because there were so many questions I wanted to ask you. All the best.
बहुत बढ़िया आपका सारा जवाब एनकाउंटर पे. एनकाउंटर कभी भी ठीक नहीं हो सकती. वर्ड एनकाउंटर इटसेल्फ इज गेटिंग ए डेरोगेटरी मीनिंग. ये मुश्किल हो जाती है कि कब ये स्थिति इट इज कैन बी जस्टिफाइड, बट अदरवाइज द ट्रायल शुड बी द रूल. In rarest of rare situation where it is out of self-defense, if you do something, that's all right. But when it happens as a pattern, then it becomes difficult to justify. That's the very good. All the best. Do well.
Abhigyan, you are excellent candidate. Excellent candidate. So keep it up. Keep it up and start your readings, your papers, etc. till your interviews there, current affairs, etc. Overall, you are an excellent candidate. You have done very, very well. All the best.
So about that land reclamation one.
Land reclamation, yes, I'll tell you. Land reclamation, the best thing is to do afforestation with the in the area. So there is a wasteland management authority. There is a wasteland management department also. In every state, there are wasteland management departments are there. So your answer should be, okay, sir, it should be developed as a forested area by the wasteland management authority. Okay. So in India, we have lakhs and lakhs of square kilometer area under wasteland actually. So for them, there are some, you can go through some websites of Forest Ministry of Environment and Forest Ministry or some other ministries. or you type wasteland management, how do wasteland management. So the afforestation is the most important thing there. ओके सो वहाँ जो ड्राई टाइप की जो पेड़ होते हैं वो सब आ जाते हैं उसमें. इट बिकम्स सो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर से बढ़िया वेस्टलैंड का है. वेस्टलैंड का उसमें बोलना, जब भी ऐसा होगा तो बोलना कि वेस्टलैंड करके वेस्टलैंड मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी विल बी रोप्ड इन फॉर एफोरेस्टेशन ऑफ दैट एरिया. ओके, ऑल द बेस्ट.
Abhigyan, any other question you have?
No, sir. So for Jharkhand, I was getting some very good question from sir. So what, like there was one elephant issue and there's the whole-
Elephant, you know, in Jharkhand, Dalbanga sanctuary is there, Hazaribagh is there. There are, I think, 9 or 10 sanctuaries and 1 or 2 national parks. I'm not sure, I think 1 national park and 9 or 10 sanctuaries are there in Jharkhand. But elephant is a big, elephant is a migratory animal, Abhigyan, which migrate from Jharkhand to Chhattisgarh to Bengal, you know, to different areas it migrates, and it has a migratory route. So generally those migratory routes cross the forest areas, but sometimes inter-corridor you have these mining areas, or they divert, they get diverted to the mining areas, you know. So you are very right, for mining, for elephant movement, mining cannot be stopped. Mining cannot be stopped, but there are certain hulla parties. They are called hulla parties. Hulla, hulla parties. Hulla parties means the people roped in from the villages by the forest department. As you are rightly telling me, they can be nudged to those areas where the where mines are not there. A huge jungle tract is there, so the elephant can be diverted by hulla parties of the forest department, so that they avoid these mining areas. They avoid the mining area. Otherwise, so I think more than 400 elephants have died in these mining accidents and all that in Jharkhand, no? So वो हुल्ला पार्टी को यूज करके उनको डाइवर्ट किया जाता है जनरली. ठीक है, अदरवाइज उनको भी हम रोक नहीं सकते, माइनिंग को भी रोक नहीं सकते. योर आंसर वाज परफेक्टली ओके. You have balanced it out, and it has to be like that only.
So Abhigyan, we have given you 71% today. So this being your first interview, you are doing extremely well, as I told in the beginning. Also prepare an answer for why civil services, because IITians may be asked this question. So how would you react?
Because it provides for leadership opportunities at young age and also a platform to create an impact.
Don't bring in your family and inspiration from parents, fathers. That is what I wanted to be sure. Your answer is perfect.
And so for why left research, I have kept like why you came back from research. For that I have kept that because while doing my research, I realized that focusing on a single problem for my entire career was not my cup of tea. So does that, is that?
No, you left research from Berlin.
Yes.
And came to India for civil services. So why do you have to criticize research and you show preference to the civil services? It could be merged with the same answer that you gave. Sir, I always wanted to come back and take civil services. Research was my, stepping stone or whatever and it was basically to get more exposure of the world, this, that. But my main objective was so you turned. Why do you give personal reasons? I left research because I was focused on one. Don't criticize your present profession at all, okay? Unless asked.
And at the same time, since you have raised research, read India's spending on research as percentage of GDP, why we are lagging in research, and impact of Chat GPT on research. So these can be, if discussion goes in that direction, then prepare.
All the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All the best.